The Disney Renaissance, a golden age reborn. Introduction. The Disney Renaissance represents one of the most remarkable creative and commercial revivals in entertainment history. From 1989 to 1999, Walt Disney Animation Studios experienced a dramatic resurgence, releasing a string of critically acclaimed, commercially successful animated features that redefined the medium and re-established Disney as the preeminent name in animation. This decade of extraordinary creativity followed a tumultuous period during which the studio had lost its way, struggling to capture the magic that had once defined the Disney brand. The Renaissance wasn't merely a financial turnaround, but a fundamental reimagining of what animated storytelling could achieve. Historical context: the Dark Age before the dawn. To understand the magnitude of Disney's Renaissance, one must first appreciate the depths from which the studio had to climb. Following Walt Disney's death in 1966, the animation department entered what many historians call the Dark Age, or the Bronze Age of Disney animation. Films like The Aristocats, 1970, Robin Hood, 1973, and The Fox and the Hound, 1981, maintained some quality but lacked the innovative spirit and commercial appeal of earlier classics. By the early 1980s, the situation had grown dire. The Black Cauldron, 1985, represented a critical and commercial nadir, costing a then astronomical $44 million, while grossing just $21.3 million domestically. Disney animation, once synonymous with excellence, had become an afterthought in the company's broader corporate strategy. Traditional animation techniques seemed increasingly obsolete in a market captivated by blockbuster live-action films and emerging technologies. The studio's relevance was further threatened by the departure of key animator Don Bluth, who left with several talented colleagues to form a rival studio. Bluth's The Secret of NIMH, 1982, An American Tail, 1986, and The Land Before Time, 1988, demonstrated that there remained substantial audience interest in animation, just not what Disney was producing. This existential crisis coincided with significant corporate turmoil. In 1984, after fending off hostile takeover attempts, Disney underwent a leadership change that brought Michael Eisner, Frank Wells, and Jeffrey Katzenberg to the helm. This new management team, though initially skeptical about the viability of the animation division, would ultimately provide the leadership necessary for its revitalization. The catalysts of change. Several key factors aligned to create the conditions for Disney's remarkable comeback. New leadership vision. Michael Eisner and Jeffrey Katzenberg, despite their limited animation experience, recognized the potential of Disney's animation legacy as a cornerstone of the company's identity. Katzenberg, in particular, took personal interest in the animation department, bringing a Hollywood producer's sensibility to what had become an insular creative environment. Technological innovation. The integration of computer animation technology with traditional hand-drawn techniques revitalized the visual language of Disney films. The Great Mouse Detective, 1986, featured an early example in its Big Ben climax, while Oliver and Company, 1988, further experimented with computer-generated elements. This technological evolution culminated in the seamless integration of traditional and computer animation in Beauty and the Beast, 1991, particularly in the ballroom scene. Musical reinvention. The partnership with Broadway composers Alan Menken and Howard Ashman fundamentally transformed Disney's approach to musical storytelling. Drawing from Broadway traditions, they developed the I Want song, villain songs, and other musical conventions that would become signatures of the Renaissance era. Their songs advanced plot and character development rather than merely providing entertainment interludes. Storytelling evolution. Renaissance films embraced more sophisticated narratives with complex characters, adult themes, and emotional depth. While maintaining their appeal to children, these films addressed serious topics like prejudice, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, colonialism, Pocahontas, and environmental destruction, The Lion King. The Renaissance timeline, a succession of masterpieces. The Little Mermaid, 1989, the Renaissance begins. The Little Mermaid marked the definitive beginning of the Renaissance. Directed by Ron Clements and John Musker, the film drew inspiration from Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tale, but reinvented it with vibrant underwater animation, memorable characters, and an unforgettable Menken Ashman soundtrack including Part of Your World, Under the Sea, and Kiss the Girl. The film grossed $84 million domestically, a stunning success that caught even Disney executives by surprise. More importantly, it reconnected with audiences emotionally and re-established Disney's reputation for storytelling excellence. Critics praised its return to classic Disney traditions while acknowledging its contemporary sensibilities. Beauty and the Beast, 1990, won the pinnacle of prestige. If The Little Mermaid announced Disney's return, Beauty and the Beast confirmed its ascendance to new heights. Directed by Gary Truesdale and Kirk Wise, the film represented a perfect synthesis of technological innovation and storytelling tradition. Its integration of computer and hand-drawn animation, particularly in the ballroom sequence, set new standards for the medium. The film achieved something unprecedented. It became the first animated feature nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture. This recognition legitimized animation as a storytelling medium worthy of the highest critical consideration. With songs like Belle, Be Our Guest, and the title track, the Menken-Ashman partnership reached its zenith. Tragically, one of Ashman's last works before his death from AIDS-related complications. Aladdin, 1992 commercial magic. Aladdin combined the artistic ambitions of its predecessors with crowd-pleasing entertainment, largely thanks to Robin Williams' revolutionary performance as the genie. The film's humor, fast-paced storytelling, and stunning Arabian-inspired visuals helped it gross over $200 million domestically, setting a new commercial benchmark for animated features. Menken continued his streak of musical success, this time partnering with lyricist Tim Rice for A Whole New World, which won the Academy Award for Best Original Song. The film's humor, particularly its contemporary references, broadened the appeal of Disney animation to audiences who might have considered the medium childish. The Lion King, 1990, for the crowning achievement. The Lion King represents the commercial and cultural apex of the Renaissance. Originally considered a B project while the studio focused on Pocahontas, this Hamlet-inspired tale set in the African savannah exceeded all expectations, grossing $312 million domestically and eventually over $1 billion worldwide when accounting for re-releases. The film's Elton John Tim Rice soundtrack produced multiple hits including Circle of Life, Hakuna Matata, and the Oscar-winning Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Its exploration of responsibility, family legacy, and trauma demonstrated animation's capacity for profound emotional storytelling. The Stampede sequence remains one of animation's most technically impressive and emotionally devastating moments. Pocahontas, 1995, and The Hunchback of Notre Dame, 1996 ambitious adaptations. Following The Lion King proved challenging. Both Pocahontas and The Hunchback of Notre Dame represented ambitious attempts to tackle serious historical and literary material. Pocahontas addressed colonialism and environmental themes through a romanticized lens, while Hunchback adapted Victor Hugo's novel with surprisingly mature themes of religious hypocrisy, lust, and societal prejudice. Though commercially successful, neither matched their predecessor's performance. Critics praised their visual splendor and thematic ambition, but noted increasing signs of formula in their storytelling approaches. Despite their flaws, these films showcased remarkable artistic confidence, tackling subject matter previously considered inappropriate for Disney animation. Hercules, 1997, and Mulan, 1998, experimentation and evolution. As the decade progressed, Disney began experimenting more aggressively with visual style and narrative approach. Hercules adopted a more cartoonish, self-aware aesthetic influenced by Gerald Scarfe's character designs, while using gospel-inspired music and contemporary humor. Mulan explored Chinese visual traditions and featured a more action-oriented narrative with feminist themes. Both films performed respectably, but suggested that the Renaissance formula was reaching its natural conclusion. The studio appeared caught between adhering to established conventions and seeking new creative directions. Tarzan, 1999, the Renaissance concludes. Tarzan represents a fitting conclusion to the Renaissance era. Technologically innovative with its deep canvas technique that allowed for seamless movement through three-dimensional environments, The film featured Phil Collins' soundtrack integrated differently than the traditional Broadway-style approach. Commercially successful and critically respected, it nevertheless marked the end of an era rather than a new beginning. Artistic innovations and signatures. The Broadway-inspired musical structure. Renaissance films established a distinctive musical template that transformed animation storytelling. The I Want song, establishing the protagonist's desires, part of your world. Belle, go the distance. The villain song, revealing antagonist motivations, poor unfortunate souls, be prepared, hellfire. The production number showcasing ensemble work, Under the Sea, be our guest, friend like me. The love ballad Beauty and the Beast, a whole new world. Can you feel the love tonight? This structure provided consistent emotional beats, while allowing each film to develop its distinct musical identity. Visual evolution. Renaissance films witnessed remarkable visual development. Return to deeper background detail and richer color palettes. Integration of computer animation with traditional techniques. Experimentation with different artistic influences, Greek pottery in Hercules, Chinese watercolors in Mulan. Revolutionary deep canvas technology in Tarzan. Increasingly sophisticated character animation capturing subtle emotional nuances. Narrative maturation. The storytelling in Renaissance films evolved considerably from Disney's earlier works. More complex protagonists with specific psychological motivations. Morally ambiguous antagonists, Frollo being perhaps the most complex Disney villain. Exploration of societal issues like prejudice, environmental destruction, and colonialism. Greater willingness to include frightening or emotionally challenging sequences. Increasingly sophisticated humor, incorporating both children's slapstick and adult references. Cultural impact and legacy. Box office resurrection. The Renaissance transformed Disney's financial fortunes. From a commercial disappointment of The Black Cauldron, $21.3 million, to The Lion King, $312 million domestic, the trajectory was extraordinary. This success extended beyond theater receipts to home video sales, merchandising, and theme park attractions, creating a virtuous cycle of revenue that funded further creative development. Critical reevaluation of animation. The Best Picture nomination for Beauty and the Beast represented a watershed moment for animation's critical standing. The Renaissance forced critics and awards bodies to reconsider animation not as a children's medium, but as a legitimate art form capable of sophisticated storytelling. This eventually led to the creation of the Best Animated Feature Oscar category in 2001. Global cultural influence. Renaissance films penetrated global popular culture deeply. Songs like A Whole New World and Circle of Life became standards. Characters like Ariel, Belle, and Simba became iconic. The film's themes and storytelling approaches influenced not just animation, but filmmaking broadly, demonstrating how to balance entertainment with emotional substance. Theme park expansion. The Renaissance directly fueled Disney's theme park expansion. Attractions based on these films became centerpieces of Disney parks worldwide, from The Little Mermaid, Ariel's undersea adventure, to Festival of the Lion King. The film's rich world building provided abundant material for immersive environments that extended their cultural presence. Broadway adaptations. The theatrical quality of Renaissance films made them natural candidates for stage adaptation. Beauty and the Beast became Disney's first Broadway production in 1994, followed by The Lion King in 1997, which remains one of Broadway's most successful shows, The Little Mermaid, Tarzan, and others. This represented a fascinating full circle, as Broadway had originally influenced these films' musical approach. Critical reassessment. While the Renaissance is rightfully celebrated, contemporary critics have reassessed these films through modern lenses. Gender politics. Films like The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, while featuring more active heroines than previous Disney princesses, have been criticized for ultimately reinforcing traditional gender roles and romantic resolutions. Ariel literally gives up her voice to pursue a man, while Belle's independence becomes secondary to reforming the beast. Cultural representation. Aladdin, Pocahontas, and Mulan have faced scrutiny for their approaches to cultural representation. Aladdin particularly has been criticized for its stereotypical portrayal of Middle Eastern characters and culture. Pocahontas romanticizes and fictionalizes a troubling historical encounter between Native Americans and European colonizers. Formula fatigue. By the Renaissance's latter years, critics noted increasing reliance on formula: the outcast protagonist, the comic sidekick, the Broadway-style musical numbers. This formula, revolutionary in 1989, had become somewhat predictable by 1999. The end of an era. Several factors contributed to the Renaissance's conclusion. Creative exhaustion. The intense production schedule of releasing a major animated feature annually led to creative burnout. The pressure to match previous successes created a risk-averse environment less conducive to innovation. Management turbulence. The departure of Jeffrey Katzenberg in 1994 to form DreamWorks Animation changed the studio's leadership dynamics. The subsequent power struggles altered the creative environment that had fostered Renaissance successes. Changing animation landscape. The emergence of computer animation, particularly with Pixar's groundbreaking work on Toy Story, 1995, signaled a technological shift that Disney initially struggled to navigate. Ironically, Disney distributed Pixar's films during this period, while its own traditionally animated features began losing cultural momentum. The post-Renaissance era. The years following Tarzan saw Disney animation enter another difficult period. Films like Fantasia 2000, Dinosaur, The Emperor's New Groove, Atlantis, The Lost Empire, Lilo and Stitch, Treasure Planet, Brother Bear, and Home on the Range showed creative ambition, but inconsistent commercial and critical success. This period ended with Disney's acquisition of Pixar in 2006 and the appointment of Pixar's John Lasseter to oversee Walt Disney Animation Studios, setting the stage for what some call a second Disney Renaissance, beginning with The Princess and the Frog, 2009, and Tangled, 2010. Conclusion. Renaissance Reflections. The Disney Renaissance represents a remarkable convergence of artistic talent, technological innovation, cultural timing, and business leadership. At its heart, with a return to what had always made Disney animation special: emotional storytelling, memorable characters, technical excellence, and the courage to take animation seriously as an art form. The era's lasting impact can be measured not just in box office figures or awards, but in the generations of viewers for whom these films represent formative emotional experiences. For children of the late 1980s and 1990s, the Renaissance films defined Disney animation and established expectations for storytelling excellence that influence audience taste to this day. Despite valid contemporary critiques, these films remain masterpieces of the medium, artifacts of a period when traditional animation reached its commercial and artistic apex before the industry pivoted toward computer animation. They stand as testament to animation's power to create worlds, evoke emotions, and tell stories that resonate across generations and cultures. The Renaissance demonstrated that artistic excellence and commercial success need not be opposing forces, that films respecting audience intelligence while embracing entertainment could achieve both critical acclaim and popular adoration. This balance, more than any technological innovation or narrative formula, represents the true legacy of Disney's golden decade.